Welcome to Leadership Unlocked, where we uncover the pivotal stories that shape great leaders. I'm Dusty Holcomb. On this show, we don't just talk about leadership, we decode it. In every episode, we sit down with the change makers who've walked through fire, challenged the status quo, and emerged with wisdom worth sharing. These aren't just lessons, they're lived experiences, real moments that reveal the mindset, the resilience, and the clarity behind creating lasting impact. Today, you'll hear one of those stories. Jacob Karnes knows how to turn clock watchers into culture drivers, and it starts with how you lead. He's the author of Master Your First Job and an expert at helping leaders attract and develop young talent that doesn't just clock in, but they buy in. Let's get into it. This is Leadership Unlocked. Jacob, I am delighted that you were here today. I've been looking forward to this conversation because it's, a chance to nerd out over chicken biscuits and all the fun stuff in life. But I am just really, really grateful that you're investing time with us today and helping us all learn how much you can gain from, those simple chicken biscuits and so much more. Thanks for being here.
Dude, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. What do you want to know about Chick-fil-A? We can just unveil all Chick-fil-A secrets and go from there.
I won't ask about any of the sauces or any of that stuff. Let me start with this though, because this is something. Maybe we'll come back to Chick-fil-A. I might want to come back there.
Yeah.
But let me start with this. What is a leadership principle or practice that you live by, and what's the story behind it?
Ooh, okay. This is a good one. Is take care of people and they'll take care of the business. I had a boss that told me that. I say early in my corporate leadership career. I'd worked for Chick-fil-A for at that point, 5 to 6 years, and had owned everything in the restaurant. And I was at the point where I was just getting a lot of results. I was moving. I was about as high as you could get without owning my own Chick-fil-A in the restaurant. And I'd come into a new Chick-fil-A, and my boss was amazing. His name was Evan. And I just kept bumping into, why aren't these people just listening, getting things done? And I just wanted to manhandle results. And I don't know if you're familiar with Working Genius, but I've now learned galvanizing is a frustration of mine, and hate galvanizing. I'm like, why don't people just do it?
Why don't people just do their darn job? I get it.
Yeah, it's in the job that you're getting paid every 2 weeks. Let's do it. But no, he pulled me aside and he's like, hey man, you can't manhandle all this. I'm like, well, I can try. And he said, look, take care of people and they'll take care of the business. Build real relationships with people, care about them, care about the work they do, invest in them, and their results will come. That's your new focus. Is you've mastered all of this, you go master the people aspect of it. And when it fundamentally shifted the way I see business and leadership, and not just business, but nonprofits, organizations, is you can't accomplish the results you want if you're on a team without doing it through that team. And I think a bad principle is, it can be used poorly, is just, hey, if you don't want to be on the bus, get off and the bus is going to run you over. We'll keep going. You can't do that with everybody. Most teams are really good, and most people want to do a good job most of the time. So take care of people and they will take care of the work. And I've seen the other side of that. I've seen the positive side of that. And I've worked with a lot of amazing people and a lot of amazing teams. And I know I had felt personally when I had leaders invest in me and care about me personally, beyond the four walls of our business, even just they cared about me doing whatever I wanted to accomplish and, accomplishing my dreams, that I wanted to give 110% when I had those people invest in me. And so I had to learn that on the other side of it. Yeah, I think it's the biggest fundamental shift I've seen in what I help others see in business, is just helping people take care of people, and the results will come if that's done well.
Well, philosophically, I could not agree with you more, but I have to ask you this. You get this wisdom from your boss, Evan, and does that mean the next day that you just showed up completely changed and different, having been, anointed with this new wisdom that you could just show up? How did you actually start doing it? What's a practice or a principle that really brings that philosophy to life for you today, and something you started doing and had to learn, I'm assuming?
I'll partner this with a book recommendation. I just end up recommending a lot of books anytime.
We're going to get along great.
The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. I was too busy at work to care, and I saw it as being productive. I mean, I was someone, Dusty, who if I had an 8-minute drive, I was like, okay, that's 8 minutes to listen to an audiobook. That's 8 minutes to listen to a leadership podcast. Like I was so, every second needs to be meticulous and calculated and thought out. And I was so busy doing that I was missing going up to somebody and being like, hey man, how was football practice last night? Are you all ready for the big game on Friday for a high score that worked for us? Or, hey, I know you had a big test last Tuesday. How was it? Hey, how's your week going? I was so, and I prided myself on it. I am productive. I don't waste time. I'm efficient. So yes, the change over time was I needed to slow down and, okay, I can get all this done. I don't have to have every second of every day planned out. That it actually is productive and helpful to just, hey, I'm going to walk around and for the next few minutes and check on how everybody's doing, how their day's doing, see what they like about their job, see what they don't like about their job. So my changes I started having to make were to slow down so that I had time to care about people.
Well, it's so interesting because, when you first said it, I mean, people don't like start caring for people just because somebody flips a switch, right? You have to have a genuine heart in there anyway. But what I'm hearing you talk about is like a shift from being focused on yourself and really focused on what could create value for and with others. Like that's a real shift. Like that's and that can change, right? That's just a leader helping us see, hey, if you take care of other people, they will take care of the customer. And that's what takes care of the bottom line. And we have to realize that this work that feels inefficient is actually the most efficient thing we do because it's a multiplying effect, right?
That's right.
You can't possibly do all the work yourself.
I'd like to try, but no.
And you would do it well.
I'll do it well. That's right.
Let me guess, you're probably a high D on a disc assessment.
Oh yeah. DC is like, I mean, it's like this on disc. Yeah.
Yeah. You're high D, high data, gonna go. Yeah. I love that. It's so funny when I work with leaders and leadership teams, we'll do a disc and those things pop out, right? You get to see how people show up. And the most important part I found for any of those assessments, like Working Genius, is not what I get out of it, but it's how I change and need to understand how others are going to see and perceive me. And so, okay, I'm a high D, high I, which means I will just be like all energy, all fire, all go all the time. And if you're not wired that way, like I had to learn the hard way a number of times. I need to slow things down a little.
That's right. That's right.
That's awesome. Well, as you mentioned, Evan, sounds like he was a pretty impactful guy.
Yeah.
It taught you some things. What's the most important thing other than that one principle you live by every day? What's another nugget or pearl of wisdom that you pulled from your relationship with him?
I'll say something I learned working with him is you have to surround yourself as a leader with people who complement your skill set.
Ooh, that's rich.
I don't know if you're familiar with Enneagram. Enneagram 7, high D, high I. I joke that on The Office, Michael Scott says, like, I've had this idea since lunch. To me, that's the Enneagram 7. And like, I can't give up on it now. It's like every day was a new idea, visionary, just like always thinking up stuff. And tell a story. One day he walked in, I'm like on the computer in the dining room and I'm working on something on my computer and have AirPods in. He like taps me on the back. He's walking the door like to start the day. And before I can get an AirPod out, he's talking at 100 miles an hour about, I was on the phone with my coach in the car. I have this idea. We're going to do it by next Friday. And I'm like, okay, first of all, good morning. Hey, no worry. Second of all, we can't do it by next Friday. But I can do it in 3 weeks. I'm like, hey, so surround yourself with people who compliment you. And I think especially for a visionary leader, you need yes, but people and not no people. You don't need yes men, but you need people who believe in you enough to be like, okay, I can tell you're excited about this idea, but here's the reality is I can't get it done by next Friday. That's it's just not going to happen. But what about the next Friday? Like that I can make some concession to and like help you get it done by the next Friday. So surround yourself with people who complement your skill set and who can say yes, but, and push back on your idea or help you filter your ideas to help them come to fruition. And I felt like working with him, I loved the fact that I felt like he complimented me and I complimented him in our skill sets. And that allowed us to work really well together. And because I believed in him, my answer was hardly ever no. It was, okay, let me help you figure out the best timeline and how we're going to get it done and not that we're not going to get it done. We're going to get it done. Let's just figure out the best timeline and stuff because I love ops and figuring out problems. And that was a great compliment to him being the inventor and the organization.
I love that, he taught that to you, surround yourself with people who complement yourself. But I'm guessing as well, like you can't just say, hey, I need you to be good at things I'm not. You also have to invite the conversation, which is what he was doing, making it okay for you to say yes, but because
That's
some
right.
people, and I would not say they're leaders, but some people they don't want to hear it, right? They don't want a yes, but they just want yes, just like whatever
That's
I
right.
said. And that's obviously dangerous. That's not leadership. That's, it's not even management. That's dereliction, but that's a whole nother podcast. Like that's not good. But my point is telling and passing on this wisdom and surrounding yourself with great people also means you have to let them be great at what they do, which means it's not good at what you do. And you can't be good at everything. And I think that's a huge shift that it takes a lot of people a long time to learn if they ever do.
You're not going to be great at everything. So figuring out what other people are good at and letting them be great. Again, I had to learn that. I like to manhandle everything. And I'm like, I am stifling good talent by not letting other people do what they're good at. Like I am holding back the organization by, I think I'm great at something and maybe it's a B effort and I've got someone who can do it in an A+. Just go let them be great. It's funny. You talked about the yes, but people are like the leaders who won't accept the yes, but. I just finished Walter Isaacson's Steve Jobs biography.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Unicorn scenario, but I'm like, okay, it turns out you can just get rid of people who say yes, but and make great things. I'm like, they talk about Steve. This is not applicable. This is not helpful. Steve Jobs is a unicorn, but it's just like he had a reality distortion field where he literally could not fathom that things could not get done. And so he just expected that they would be. And then he pushed people to do great things because of that. That's where I'm like, I almost don't even want to have that as a takeaway from the book because I'm like, this is such a unicorn that it's not applicable because everyone would be like, Steve is a jerk. But man, look at what we did. Great book, but unicorn scenario.
Well, it may be a unicorn scenario, but there's things you can learn from it, right? There's the reality distortion force field for good, and there's the reality distortion force field for bad when used against people, right?
Yeah.
If you need to get them galvanized, and I know that's not your working genius, but if you need it, like it's a great tool to have in the tool belt. And I'm an EG on the working genius, so I'm the opposite. We would jam together because you're probably good at tenacity, which drives me absolutely bonkers.
I'm wonder and tenacity. That's my working genius, beginning and end.
All right, now we're on this whole assessments track. What's your Enneagram?
I'm an 8.
So I'm a 8-1, but there's like a 2-point degree of separation. So I'm pretty close.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I'm an 8. There we go.
I love these types of tools, not because they define who we are, but they help us triangulate. Like that's the key thing is triangulating patterns that we can amend for greater impact. That's the whole point and purpose of using tools like this, not to buy into a label, but to triangulate so we can make change to create bigger impact. So we could probably spend a whole nother podcast episode just on that as well. But I was curious when you mentioned it.
I like triangulate. I've always said it doesn't put you in a box. It helps you identify a box you're probably already in. I like triangulate better. I'm going to steal that.
All right, please do. It's trademarked in 4 languages, but not everywhere.
Okay.
Good friend of mine and just brilliant guy, Ross Simmons. He's been on the podcast and
cool.
He talks about, hey, look, I want to create value. I want to give it all away. And I asked him, I said, well, why do you want to do that? He goes, well, if I give it away, I have to keep creating more and I have to keep creating more. And it forces me to be good at my game. It forces me to up level every single day. So that's tongue in cheek. Well, yeah, take it. Good ideas are like, I've always had this philosophy of R&D. I love R&D, but it stands for rip off and duplicate. And
there you go.
My job is to do it better than the original source. So what would be a keystone moment or an inflection point in your journey that forever shifted? You can look back now and go, at this point, a path diverged and I took this path because of this thing. And when you share that in the story, then I want to hear the whole thing. It'll give more context. But what was a keystone moment for you?
Finding out that as a team member at Chick-fil-A, I could travel and go do grand openings as a grand opening trainer and become a certified trainer. That was my, keystone moment where everything shifted. I was working at a restaurant and I forget how it came up in conversation. I was looking for more opportunity, and someone had mentioned, have you thought about becoming a certified trainer and doing openings for Chick-fil-A? And I'm like, I can do that. And I was like, yeah, you can go get trained. And then like, you will work on behalf of Chick-fil-A Inc. and travel around the country and open Chick-fil-A's. And that was that changed everything when I found that out.
Why did you love it so much? What made that so appealing to you?
So one, I had maxed out at that time. I had maxed out my current role as far as what I could touch. And honestly, I was bored. I'm very driven. I like having something new to do and figure out. I like figuring out problems, and I like achieving stuff, man. And so I had run out of stuff to do at the restaurant and was just exploring like what else could I do. And through a conversation with the leader, found out this was this next thing I could do. And I say that's the point that changed, because when I went and got certified at Chick-fil-A Inc., like they train you how to be a trainer basically. And I happened to, again, happenstance moment, God moment, is I sat down at lunch with somebody who was in Chick-fil-A's leadership development program. He's now an owner operator. His name's Gage. And just started talking about like what his journey was like what he was stepping into at Chick-fil-A, like what his goals were. And it was that table conversation that led me to do all the grand openings I did. Gage introduced me to my wife. He was the first leader that asked me like, hey, have you thought about a career at Chick-fil-A? You could do this long term. Here's what it would look like. I believe in you. So everything like changed at that moment, because I had not thought about anything at Chick-fil-A as more than just a job before learning about the certified trainer program.
All right. That's awesome. Well, I think I'd love to learn more about your journey as a whole. So give us the vision or the story of you to that point of inflection, and then what you've done since then.
Yeah. So I grew up in Metro Atlanta, and in high school, I've thought about doing a few different things as a career. Growing up, I wanted to be an Imagineer for the Walt Disney Company. They are the kind of the brains behind the parks. Walt hired some of his animators and artists to build a theme park before 1955, and that became Walt Disney Imagineering. And so I had a fascination with these people who created experiences were kind of magical, and figuring out engineering, science, and art, kind of mixing the creativity there. And that's what I wanted to do growing up. So in high school, I get a car, have a car payment, pay for insurance. I played golf in high school. I applied to 3 golf courses, and none of them called me back. And my parents were like, hey, money's due regardless. So I walked into Chick-fil-A. We used to do this thing, Dusty. I know you remember this. I had to walk in and ask for a paper application.
Oh, yeah.
And then fill it out and go turn it back in. So I applied to Chick-fil-A. They called me back within the week and had 2 interviews the next week and got hired. So I took it as just a job. I did not want it to be my first job, because I felt like in Metro Atlanta, it was everyone's first job was Chick-fil-A. So I was reluctant to want to work there, and started to enjoy it. I was like, oh, I like that it's competitive. I like that there are high standards and there's a standard of excellence. I enjoy being around people who seem to enjoy their job. I grew up in Atlanta, so I know about Chick-fil-A's culture and core values, and like, oh, yeah, the founder was a Christian, and those values are kind of installed in the company in that they care about people. They want to do good work. They want to go the extra mile. So like that's what I mean by Christian values, is just they're doing good work, man. So I enjoyed being in that culture. Again, always been driven. So I wanted to be a leader very quickly, got promoted. I'm leading people that are older than me, which is weird. And I felt like I was unqualified. And yeah, I get to a point where I felt like I'd maxed out where I was in the restaurant, and figured out that, oh, even as an employee at Chick-fil-A, like at a restaurant, I can travel on behalf of, Big C Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A Incorporated, and like do grand openings. So I get trained at the support center in Atlanta. I meet this guy named Gage, and he's like, hey, come do my first opening. He's kind of in charge of the grand opening. He's a grand opening supervisor. Like, hey, come be a trainer for me at my first opening. We became friends. At that first opening, he asked me, hey, have you thought about a career at Chick-fil-A? I'm like, no. I'm like, at that time, I think my degree is political science. Changed my degree to business. He asked me an important question. He said, okay, within Chick-fil-A, like, what sounds better? Is it fixing this one drive-through? I was passionate about drive-through and like getting to own it and doing this one, or potentially coming with a system that could help 2,000 of them. And I was like, that is me.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds awesome. And he's like, okay, like maybe it's not owner operator, maybe it's corporate office, because you could be on a team that fixes it for 2,000 restaurants. And something that's always been important to me is like scale and impact. That's really important to me personally. So that was cool that was an option. So from then on, started pursuing, I want to work at the Chick-fil-A support center. I want to go get a job at the corporate office. That was my goal. Met my wife, Addie, through Gage. We started dating. I moved to Gainesville, Florida. I worked for an owner-operator named Karina so it was a 6-month commitment as a great opening restaurant to get that restaurant off the ground. After those 6 months, my wife is in Tampa, so I didn't want to be long distance anymore. Wanted to go get engaged, get married. So moved to Tampa and worked for my boss, Evan, there in Tampa for almost 2 years as his talent director. 7 years total in the restaurant. Got my job at the support center in learning and development in 2020. March 9th, 2020 was my first day.
Oh, that's good timing. How'd that work out?
Yeah. I think March 11th was Rudy Gobert touched all the mics as a joke. And Chick-fil-A sent out an email to all staff saying, hey, we're going to test our virtual capability for 2 days in case things get crazy. 2 years later, we went back to the office. So that was my first week at Chick-fil-A. But because of that, I got to touch a lot of different work at Chick-fil-A because everyone's job just immediately changed. It was what's essential. And I spent time with marketing, with like IT, with delivery, with field ops, with talent. I touched a lot at Chick-fil-A, which was a lot of fun. I was there for 3 years. And honestly, I put my name in for some different roles at the end of those 3 years and got told no, which I was really ticked about and upset about and felt like I was deserving. And I had a boss that had asked me like, hey, like take away all job descriptions like here at the office, write your own. What would it be? What's the dream role? I'm like, man, if I could work directly with these business owners and help them figure out how to get their talent and ops, like to make a system and make it right, and like utilize some of these tools I've been using, like Business Made Simple and StoryBrand. I'm like, if I can do that, like that's the job. Like I don't know where that is, but like that's the job. And so as I got told no for these roles, I started thinking about, what if I just did this for myself instead, and like still serve the same audience and others. So that's why I started my own business. Was that came out of some rejection that I was upset about, thinking about what I wanted to do long term. Could I do it for myself? What would that look like? Could I still be Chick-fil-A adjacent? Like how could I still serve them? And started my own business called Waves Business Coaching. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2.5-ish years. Wrote a book. That was a huge accomplishment that I'm very proud of.
You should be. Yeah, we talked about that a few months ago. And because I think that topic of that book, of your book, is really important. And,
well, thank you.
And I want to go deeper on that for a second.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you brought it up. It's on my notes. What's the topic of the book and what was the inspiration?
Master Your First Job is the book. And I've always wanted to be an author. I loved writing growing up. So I met a lot of cool leaders that wrote books. And I was like, I'm going to do that at some point, put it on my 5-10 year goal list, whatever. And when I started the business, I got serious about it. I said, okay, I have time to do this if I want to put effort behind it. So it started out as, I wanted to write a book post Chick-fil-A. This is about my experience at Chick-fil-A. It started off as like a 10 lessons from 10 years of Chick-fil-A-ish kind of book. That's where the bones came from. Talked to a lot of people who'd written books just about, okay, if I'm going to put time and effort into this, I obviously want to be able to grow the business and grow my authority, but I want to write about something that I care about, that I'm going to be passionate about, that I'm going to enjoy. So I thought about who I have the authority to write to, and it's that 16-year-old. It's me over a decade ago. It's the 22-year-old who's got their degree and stepping into their first post-college job. It's the part-time job in high school and college. It's that young person who is working a job that is just a job. It's a line item on a resume. It's nothing more. And I'm like, I can write to that person. And what I did successfully was I took a first job opportunity and built a foundation for a meaningful career on top of it. And it's because of a lot of great leaders that I was able to do that. And some of the lessons in the book took me 10 years to figure out. And I want to give that knowledge and experience to someone who's starting so that they don't have to take 10 years to figure it out. So the book's called Master Your First Job. It's the remarkable path from first day to first promotion. It's that 16 to 24-year-old is my age range that's perfect for the book. And it's lessons that took me a decade and sometimes longer because I learned it from other people who might have taken decades to figure out, that I think are really applicable at any job when you're starting out, that if you get this right now, you can lay a foundation at whatever job you're at that you can build a meaningful career on top of. It's the book that I wish I had when I got my first job at Chick-fil-A at 16. It's the book that I've heard from several employers. This is the book that every employer wishes their first-time employee had. So that's the book. It was a pleasure to write. It's been humbling, and I've been grateful to hear positive feedback from the book of people who have been impacted by it. Even, my mom read it, and she's just like, Jacob, this is really good. I'm like, yeah, you're my mom. Like, thanks. And she's like, no, like, I'm changing stuff at my job based on like this specific chapter. I think like I need to do this better. And I was like, well, that meant a lot. I was like, that's really sweet. And I've
cool.
heard that from others. So I love the book. And again, just grateful it's been able to impact people, because I love working with young people. For a long time, I've led small groups at church with young people. And so to be able to write a book to that audience is really cool.
It's the reason it resonated, and I put it on my notes to make sure we talked about today, because even when we talked about it the first time, and hearing you talk about it now and seeing you light up and hearing the energy in your voice, people aren't trained to be successful in your first job, right? We are trained, and that's what we are. We go through school, we're trained through our parents and all these experiences to do something. But that first job, we're not really trained for it. And that first promotion. Just today, I got a message on LinkedIn from a young leader who's asking for a resource that I had made available. And he said, and I'm going to quote, because I think it's just really insightful, and I think it's very affirming for your angle here. And for anybody who's listening who has that 16-year-old or that first college, like, this is the type of book that they should read. But this person emailed me or messaged me on LinkedIn and said, hey, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what skills or lessons should be learned early on in a career that will help transition into success roles at higher levels later. I'm not sure if I'm in the wrong circles or if that topic isn't mentioned very often. And so like that, people want to be successful. Those who want to grow, those who are willing to do the work, those who are seeking to be impactful just need a guide. And, we all needed that guide. Like, I made a bunch of boneheaded mistakes in my career. I'm still making them, but that's the reason I started this podcast, is so that we could have great conversations with people who have made mistakes and learned lessons and had great successes, and then share that wisdom and experience that they've already paid the tuition for. I mean, it's the greatest gift we can give, is the knowledge and wisdom that we've earned through our own tuition payments. Somebody else can get that tuition for free. So I think it's a great thing, and I'm glad that you're doing that. And I'd encourage anybody listening to check it out. We'll make sure we put a link in the show notes, because
thank you.
It's impactful. I want my kids to learn that type of stuff, to be successful. And its principles are simple, but the execution's always hard. I'm
glad someone's asking that question. I'm like, you need to send me that question so I can make sure some of the SEO stuff, the words you say, helps fill up the book. But like you said, nothing in the book is complex. It's all simple. And there's also no silver bullets. At the end of the day, do really good work, care about people along the way, like represent yourself well. That's the book. There's no secrets in it, but it's written to that specific audience and some more specific lessons that I have. But yeah, there's no silver bullets, right? There's no getting around working hard to learn those lessons.
You got to do the work. You got to put in the time. You got to do the reps. And
that's right.
There's no silver bullets in any part of life, right? We've got to do the work.
Yeah.
And do it day in, day out. Show up even when you don't want to, even when you're tired, even when you're wondering, why don't they just do their jobs? You know, and we just got to do the work. Let me ask you something. Are you leading off of instinct? I mean, you've got the vision, you've built the thing, but most leaders I talk to are still flying without a system. Vision to Victory, the mastermind, changes that. It's a 12-week experience where we install the leadership operating system you've always needed: purpose, strategy, cadence, metrics, execution. This isn't a course. It's not more content. It's a small group of leaders who are done chasing clarity and ready to lead with it. You'll walk out with a full leadership operating system, a trusted circle of peers, and a repeatable way to scale without losing yourself along the way. There are only 12 seats in this group, and most are already spoken for. It's an application-only process. Go to arcusgroup.com/mastermind to apply. Is there anyone else, like if you could say this individual, this person was a mentor in my life, and I want them to know it. So like when you get done with this, we publish this episode, we want to make sure they hear you say this thing publicly out loud about what they gave to you and what you've done with it in that time. Who would that be and what they give you?
I mean, I'm just going to go back to Evan and Gage. Those are that's the 1-2 punch. It's what they gave me. Both of them was belief of, it was nice to, to meet someone that at the time I didn't know that. With Gage, saw me do a little bit of work and believed enough to ask a question and say, hey, I think you could do this long-term if you thought about it. And here's what I see that could, here's the skills I see that you're doing that I could see you doing this long-term. And with Evan, it was belief in not seeing it. With Chick-fil-A, there's no transferring. So it's not, I work for an individual LLC at a Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. You can't just move to the one across town and just get transferred as an employee. It's a completely different company, right? Mm-hmm. It's that person's LLC. So I had to interview with Evan, and I interviewed with probably 5 Chick-fil-A's in the Tampa area because I was trying to, I was a high-level leader, and I'm trying to see if they're going to hire someone as a leader out the gate, not have to work my way back up. And Evan's name was given to me by a mutual to interview with him one time, and him just immediately be like, okay, like I'm going to bring in his leader. Here's a plan. I believe in you. And me telling him on the front end of, at that time, I had a goal of within 3 years, I didn't want to be working for him anymore. Within 3 years, I wanted to have a job at the corporate office. And he was not only on board with that, but it was less than 2 total years before I left. He was immediate belief in investing in someone he knew was going to walk out the door. And that was really and again, I've taken that, and I mean, we could talk about talent being rent if you want. It meant a lot to me to see that level of investment, because I mean, how often we'd meet, him giving me knowledge and resources and financial resources, and just a personal story. While I was working for Evan, my dad passed away in 2019, and it's very all of a sudden unexpected. And so I just all of a sudden had to go to Atlanta for 2 weeks to go bury my dad. And I get back, and I had a little bit of PTO, but I think I had saved it for Christmas or something. And I get back on a Sunday, and I go to dinner with Evan. He just hands me a check from him personally for the 2 weeks I'd missed. Just like full 80 hours, just hands me a check of, hey, don't worry about anything there. So just not just the level of like leadership investment that he gave, but again, taking care of people that work for you. Even personal financial investment in me for someone who was with him less than 2 years. I think that's forever stuck with me.
So insightful hearing you say that, because, he was never interested in you as a mercenary to perform a role for him, that he was renting the talent, and we can definitely go there. Instead, he was really understanding that his role was to advocate and create a missionary who was going to show up and do a great job, but at some point they'd leave. One of my mentors, I've shared this story with others, is when I resigned, he told me, I knew you were going to leave, because that's the best thing that the military leadership taught me, is that we always were going to have the soldiers leave. Yep. Our job wasn't to hold on to them. Our job was to make them better for their next role. And so, we got to achieve the mission and make them better. I love that he did that for you. And I think that that's one thing that so many people don't realize about leadership, is that we aren't supposed to be viewing our talent and the people who are filling this precious space, doing the most important work in front of the customer, as, just cogs in a machine. But they may be here only for 2 years. But if they do something better and different during that time, they'll impact the customer, going back to lesson number 1 from you, and they're going to continue to do it for years and years. And the ripple effect of it, it just transcends imagination how much impact they can have. That's real leadership. And
again, like caring about me personally, even, knowing on the front end I was going to leave. I think I've heard way too often from other leaders of, I don't want to invest in them because what if they get good enough and they leave? And it's like, spoiler alert, guess what? Everyone that works for you is going to leave at some point. And that's okay, because I think what I saw is his investment in me. I then wanted to work 10 times as hard. Mm-hmm. Because while I was there, and so not all the business benefits, because now you're getting a really good employee who's motivated to leave. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm motivated to leave, but to do that, I need to do really good work. And I was motivated to do really good work. And because I knew the personal investment in me by, my boss, I wanted to do it for him. And I wanted to take care of his business and make sure his bottom line and his family were taken care of. And so I don't say it to brag on me. I say it to brag on him, and that I've seen the investment of, you care about me, so I'm going to work double as hard to pour back into the business. And talent will leave you. Get the best out of them while they're there. We used to say something in orientation. This was across the organization, from even day one team members. At orientation, we'd say, hey, we want Chick-fil-A Largo to be the best part of your story for as long as it needs to be. And when it no longer needs to be, we want to help you get to wherever you want to go next. And on the front end, it's like, hey, if you want to be here in 2 weeks, let us help you get out, because you're not going to be a good employee if you want to leave. So it's like, hey, we will help you get to whatever you want. Like, almost on the front end, you have permission to leave whenever, and we'll help you get there. Because now we're going to prevent quiet quitting. Because the second someone's like, hey, I want to go work at Taco Bell, great. But we'll use this as a reference. We'll help you. We'll help you get there. Or, and better yet, it's the motivated leaders we attracted who are saying, I want to go do X. Maybe you want to go be a doctor, and you're, in school and working part-time at Chick-fil-A. Well, we're going to help you. We're going to celebrate whenever you do leave. Because what happens is, and it happened with me, is then once you leave, you hear about someone else who was where you were 2-3 years ago, and you say, hey, I know a great place for you to go work for this next season. It's to go work for Evan. And now you've created a flywheel of talent, of highly motivated people that aren't going to work for you very long, but they're going to keep coming, and you invest in them. They invest back in the business, and then they send more good people your way. And again, this is why you take care of people. The business will be taken care of, but you got to invest in people. There's no getting around that.
There's no getting around it. And it is a flywheel. And I love, like you just brought it around back to first principle. My favorite quote on this whole topic is from Sir Richard Branson, when someone was asking about, investing in people, and said, well, what if you spend all this money and they leave? And he said, well, what if I don't and they stay? Like, it's a doom loop.
Yeah.
So it's a doom flywheel.
That's right.
If you don't do it that way.
That's right.
It's so powerful. And I think so many people put their head in the sand or haven't been exposed to it. And, the impact is tremendous. The stories we tell are tremendous. You and I could talk about this stuff for hours, but nobody wants to listen to a multi-hour podcast. We're not quite the acquired podcast yet, but which is still one of my favorites. But let me shift then to some rapid fire questions. And so I'd love to get your thoughts on a couple of things. And I'm really looking forward to a couple of these based on getting to know you just a little bit, especially this first one. What is a book that you believe every leader should read?
Atomic Habits.
Why?
It's very well written. It is the best, and this is for anybody. It's the best book on habits, and I think building rhythms in your life to get more done. Whether it's personal, even family rhythms. And I like the word rhythm, and because habit sounds like I don't want to add something in my life. It's rhythms. It's building repeatable rhythms to make your life better. And there's no better book than that for Atomic Habits. And I love the structure of it. I stole something from James Clear on this, is his chapter summaries. I think there's so many books where you read it, and if you don't take notes or you don't put down any takeaways, you're like, oh yeah, I read that book. It's on the shelf. I remember liking it. It's good. And so I started taking notes on reading books, and I get to Atomic Habits, and I'm like, he's taking the notes for me. He's made it digestible at the end of each chapter. So that's something I tried to do in my book, and it's very well written. The content's unbelievable. It's very simple. It's sticky. And I think any human, much less leader, any leader will have a lot to take from Atomic Habits.
I love that you use the word rhythm. And there's a module in our Leadership Accelerator program that's called the Rhythm of Success. And the module is based on identifying and prioritizing those most important things, and then codifying them into a repeatable and durable system so that you as a leader, even when the waves are pounding over your head, even when all this stuff is going on, you have a framework to go back to and place to rebound from, because stuff's going to happen. Okay. What's a daily practice that you follow that makes you a better leader?
I read every day. It's something that, I'm going to say a different one. What's related? How's this? Let's get real practical. I have a really good sleep habit.
Nice.
I'm like, here we go. Has someone said sleep before? I sleep every day. Here's why I think that's important. I read a book 2-3 years ago. Honestly, I think it stemmed from when I was going through some of the rejection at Chick-fil-A. I'd always struggled with insomnia. I wasn't sleeping very well. I had a really hard time falling asleep at night. I feel like it led to a lot of bad things, just poor performance in all areas. As a dad, as a husband, as an employee, just wasn't sleeping well. And so read a book on sleep called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker.
Dr. Matt Walker.
Yep. And I got really serious about it. I bought a Kindle and started putting my phone down at least an hour before bed. And I'm like, I would just scroll my phone in bed. And I built an amazing reading habit out of it. And now I'm sleeping better. I could show you my phone right now. I got an Apple Watch Ultra and started tracking my sleep. And my average right now is 7 hours, 41 minutes that's for this week. So I'm like, last week that was like right at 8 hours. And I've got 2 young kids. I've got a 4-month-old and a 3-year-old, and I'm sleeping well. So to me though, what it does is I am better prepared each and every day. I can show up better as a dad. I can show up better as a husband. I can show up better as a business owner and to serve clients because I'm sleeping better. I mean, it's so simple, but I'm getting enough rest to do all those things well. And the thing that came out of it was a good reading habit. And so I've read 48 books this year, I think is the count now, because I put my phone down at night. It's amazing.
That's awesome. I love that. We could spend an hour talking about the power of that book.
Yes, another good book.
I heard about it from Peter Attia's podcast about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's an absolute game changer. Okay.
It is.
Last 2 questions. When you do shut it down at the end of the day and you are prepared to say, today is done, what must have happened for you to say, today was a good day?
To be honest with you, it has nothing to do with business.
Perfect.
I want my wife to feel loved, that I served her well, and I want to have spent time with my kids. So I've said that I want to be, first and foremost, like a loving husband and a present dad, or how I want to be. My adjectives to describe myself as a husband and a dad. And so if my wife feels like I loved her well that day, and I get to spend time with my kids. And it's funny at this age, I feel like it's not even just quality, it's just quantity because they're young. And my 4-month-old he knows who I am, but like, he's never going to remember this. I just want to be a present dad, loving husband and a present dad. That's a good day. It's
a great day. And it doesn't need to be about business. That's a great day. That's a great day. Okay. What's a cause or organization that you are personally passionate about supporting?
I'll tell you what that I've done some stuff with and my mom's involved with is the Service League of Cherokee County. That's the county I lived in here in Metro Atlanta. They helped underprivileged kids. And the biggest thing they do is they provide Christmas gifts. So they partner with the school counselors for kids that qualify. And they do fundraising all year. My mom was in it for 10 years. She was president of the organization. But not just Christmas gifts. If a kid needs glasses and their family can't afford it, like they go to the Service League and the Service League will buy them glasses. And they need to go to the dentist and they don't have dental insurance. Like they can pay for the dentist appointment. So really cool. And the other one I'll say is my church does something called Be Rich. I go to a North Point church here in Metro Atlanta, and Be Rich is cool because it comes from a Bible. I'm going to forget the Bible verse now, but 100% of the money goes right back into the community. And we're big on, we want the communities we're in to be glad that we're here. And so why not just partner with nonprofits who are already doing good work that we align with? And then just give them money and give them people to go serve. And since the church started, they've given back, 100% of the money goes to this. It's over $100 million to these nonprofits. So we give to it every year. I think it's really cool to see our church doing that. And just like, again, 100% of the money goes right to those people who are already doing good work. So there's 2 I'll highlight. That's awesome.
Well, those are both really, really cool. Jacob, this is tremendous. I am so delighted that we could spend some time together today. If our audience is interested in learning more about you, picking up a copy of your book, what's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Jacob Karnes, the K. I'll do you one better is if you want a free copy of the book, you can go to masteryourfirstjob.com/free, and I'll send you a free e-copy. If you're like me, you like to highlight and dog ear and have a physical bookmark. I like my Kindle. I wish I could read a hard copy in bed because I like to I like to highlight and do stuff, especially in business and leadership books. But there's a link to buy one in there as well if you want to get a hard copy. But if you want a free one, I'll give it to you for free. masteryourfirstjob.com/free.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I'm so grateful you carved out some time for us today. Looking forward to seeing that book help a lot of young people. Thank you. Hey, before you go, if this episode helped you see leadership differently, I have 3 personal requests. First, and this is the most important one, share this with one leader who needs it. Think of someone in your network who's frustrated with their team's execution or is trying to scale their own impact. Copy this episode link right now and text them, hey, I just listened to this episode and I think you'll get real value from it. That simple act of sharing, that is servant leadership in action. Second, subscribe to Leadership Unlocked. Whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite podcast player, just hit subscribe or the follow button. That way you won't miss the next episode and it helps us reach more leaders like you. And third, if you're willing, this would be a huge help for us. Leave a 5-star rating and write a quick review. I know it takes 60 seconds of your time, but here's what it does. It helps other leaders discover the show. Every rating, every review, it's how we expand our impact together. So those 3 things, share with a friend, subscribe, leave a review. I'm deeply appreciative and that would give us so much help. Thanks for being part of the Leadership Unlocked community. Now go create some clarity for others.